Life is full of random events. You need to get a feel for them to be smart and successful person. The toss of a coin, throw of a dice, and lottery draws are all examples of random events. What other examples of random events did you know? Come and discover random events in our life here in our lesson today. You use probability in daily life to make decisions when you don't know for sure what the outcome will be. Most of the time, you won't perform actual probability. You use probability in daily life to make decisions when you don't know for sure what the outcome will be. Most of the time, you won't perform actual probability problems, but you will use subjective probability to make judgment and calls and determine the best course of action. Probability is widely used in all sectors in daily life, like sports, weather reports, blood samples, predicting the sex of the baby in the womb, congenital disabilities, statics, and many. Probability provides information about the likelihood that something will happen. Meteorologists, for instance, use weather patterns to predict the probability of rain. In epidemiology, probability theory is used to understand the relationship between exposures and the risk of health effects. Basically, it helps us understand the world a little bit better through numbers and other quantitative information. In this topic, we will learn probability, specifically how to illustrate an experiment, outcome, sample space, and event. Ouch! Hmm, ouch! What is this? Do you know this thing? Ah, it's a pair of dice. Let us talk about a die. Let's talk about it with probability. Do you know how to play a die? A simple way to play a die. The shooter is the player who rolls the dice and will be a different player for each game. The come out is the initial roll. To pass is to roll a 7 or 11 on the come out roll. To prop is to roll a 2, 3, or 12 on the come out roll. The point is any value between 4 and 10 rolled on the come out. When you roll a balanced die once, there are 6 possible outcomes, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Getting an even number is called an event. The set of all possible outcomes of an experiment is the sample space, or probability space, and each individual outcome is a sample point. Ouch! OMG! The coins are falling. Aha! I'm already rich. But before that, let us talk about this coin with probability. Let us use these 2 coins. When we flip these 2 coins, we are already having an experiment. The sample space of this are HH, TH, HT, and T and T. HH is a sample point. Let us go back to dice. Rolling a die is an experiment. The sample space are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And 5 is a sample point. Drawing a die and a coin simultaneously is also an experiment. The sample space is H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, and T6. And T3 is a sample point. Let us use these cards. Drawing a card from a deck of 52 cards is another experiment. 13 diamonds, 13 hearts, 13 spades, 13 clubs, ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, and king are sample space, and queen of hearts is a sample point. Remember, queen is not a sample point. Why? Because there are 4 queens, which are 4 different sample points in a deck of cards. Probability is the measure of the likelihood that an event will occur. Probability does not tell us exactly what will happen. It is just a guide. It is the ratio of number of favorable outcomes to the total number of possible outcomes. The probability is a number between 0 and 1. The probability of the certain event is 1. The probability of the impossible event is 0. In symbols, it's like this. The probability of an event can be expressed as a fraction, like 1/4, which means not very likely to happen. The probability of an event can also be expressed as unitary percentage between 0 and 1. For example, 0.5, which means equally likely to happen. The probability of an event can also be expressed as a percentage between 0% to 100%, like 75%, which means somewhat likely to happen. There are rules that governs probability. Number 1, the probability of any event is a number either in fraction, a decimal, or a percent from 0 to 1. Example, the weather forecast shows a 70% rain. Then the equation will be P of rain equals 70%. And number 2, if an event will never happen, then its probability is 0. Example, when a single die is rolled, find the probability of getting an 8. Since the sample space consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, it is impossible to get 8, right? Hence, the equation will be P of 8 equals 0/6, or it is equal to 0. If an event is sure to happen, then the probability is 1. Example, when a single die is rolled, what is the probability of getting a number less than 7? Since all the outcomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are less than 7, P number less than 7 is equal to 6/6, or it is equal to 1. The sum of the probabilities of all the outcomes in the sample space is 1. Example, in rolling a fair die, each outcome in the sample space has a probability of 1/6. If a fair coin is flipped, P of T is equal to 1/2 and P of H is equal to 1/2. If you flip the coin 10 times and got the following outcomes: H, 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 T, H, T, T, H, and H. What is the probability that the last outcome will also be head? Hmm. How did you arrive at your answer? Okay. To answer that, we will use the formula P of event. P of event is equal to number of favorable outcomes over number of possible outcomes. What is the probability of getting a heart from a deck of cards? So the problem, P of heart equals 13 over 52 equals 1/4. There are 20 marbles in a container. 4 are red, 5 are blue, and 11 are yellow. What is the probability that a blue marble will be picked? The answer will be P of blue equals 5 over 20 or equals to 1/4. Why 5 over 20? Because according to the given, 5 are blue and we are talking about blue. What is the probability that a blue marble will be picked? Alright? Now it's your turn. Do this activity. On activity A, give the sample space or list of all the possible outcomes of an event. Number 1, choosing even numbers from January. Number 2, choosing a planet in the solar system that starts with letter M. Number 3, tossing a two pair of coins simultaneously. Number 4, choosing a consonant letter from trustworthy. And number 5, choosing even numbers from 1 to 10. Let us proceed to activity B. Classify the given word or phrase or statement, whether it is an experiment, outcome, sample space, or an event. Number 1, a day would start with S. Number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why is that? What classification is that? Number 3, choosing a month from a year. What kind of statement is that? Number 4, choosing a letter at random from word. WORD. 5, P1. Our last activity is illustrate and solve the given problems and provide the experiment, outcome, sample space, and event. Number 1, choosing a month from a year. What is the probability of selecting a month with 31 days? Number 2, what is the probability of getting an 8 from a deck of 52 cards? Do this in a sheet of paper and pass it during the learning activity sheets distribution on Monday. Remember, only your parents or guardian is allowed to go and receive the learning activity sheets in the school. Stay safe and always remember, God is always there to protect and help us in times like this. Thank you and God bless.